Let's be real, for a lot of us, our digital lives are our real lives. They're completely intertwined. But what if the very platforms that are supposed to connect us are actually kind of designed to harm us? That's the huge conflict we're diving into today. This big showdown between mainstream social media and a totally new alternative that's starting to emerge.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First up, the cost of connection. What's the real price we're paying? Then we'll get into the architecture of addiction. After that, we'll explore a completely different way forward, a decentralized alternative. And finally, we'll talk about what it actually means to start reclaiming your digital self. All right, let's jump right in with the personal cost. I mean, we all love the memes, the messages, the updates from friends, but underneath all that, there's a hidden psychological price we're all paying for being constantly plugged into our feeds. Okay, you know that feeling, right? You pick up your phone just to check one little thing, and then you look up and boom, an hour has just vanished. And listen, that is not a lack of willpower on your part. No way. It's not an accident. It is 100% a feature carefully engineered to keep you scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So, what's the science behind that trap? Well, it's something called the dopamine loop. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a slot machine in Vegas. You pull the lever or, you swipe your thumb, and you never know if that next post is going to be a jackpot of fun or just meh. That unpredictability, that maybe, creates a real physiological craving in your brain that makes it incredibly hard to just put the phone down. And being stuck in this loop has some serious consequences. This endless fire hose of short-form content can literally shrink our attention spans. They call it the goldfish effect. It messes with our sleep thanks to blue light and that thing where you stay up way too late just to get some me time. And maybe worst of all, it throws us into this perfection trap where we're constantly comparing our messy, real lives to someone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. Suddenly, likes and follower counts start to feel like they define our actual self-worth. So you have to ask, how did we even get here? Well, the truth is, none of this is a bug. It's a feature. These negative effects aren't just some unfortunate side effects. They are the direct results of a business model that is built from the ground up to exploit our attention, not to empower our connection. It all comes down to this really simple cycle. We get to use these amazing platforms for free, right? Wrong. We're paying, all right? We're paying with our data. Every single click, every time you pause on a video, every hover is tracked to build this incredibly detailed profile of you. That profile is the real product, and that product is sold to advertisers. You've heard it before, but it's so, so true. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And to keep us glued to the screen so they can collect more data, the algorithms get really, really good at pushing our buttons. They learn that the best way to get a strong reaction is to show us high arousal content. Stuff that sparks fear or outrage, because that's what we can't look away from. This traps us in these echo chambers and, kind of terrifyingly, can even lead people down a pipeline toward more and more radical content. Okay, I know, that all sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? But now that we've kind of diagnosed the problem, it leads to a really fascinating and hopeful question. What if this isn't the only way? What if the internet didn't have to work like this? What if there was a completely different approach? And that brings us to the exciting part, a potential solution. It's an alternative that's built on a totally new philosophy for how the internet should even operate. The entire point is to shift the power away from these massive corporations and put it back where it belongs, in our hands. This alternative is called Web 4, and its core idea is a complete structural shift. Think of it like this. Right now on Instagram or TikTok, we're all just renting space on their land. Web 4 is about us owning our own digital homes. In this model, you, not some company in Silicon Valley, are the one who owns and controls your data, your content, and your entire digital identity. The principles behind a Web 4 community directly fight back against all those problems we just talked about. So instead of your data being harvested, you get absolute digital sovereignty. That means your friends list, your photos, your posts, they all belong to you and you can take them with you anywhere. Instead of addictive design, you get platforms built for actual, genuine human connection. And instead of secret algorithms pulling the strings, you get full transparency and community control over your own digital space. Okay, so let's make this crystal clear. Let's put these two digital worlds right next to each other. When you see them laid out like this, the difference in what they're trying to do is, well, it's night and day. Just look at this breakdown. Ownership, it shifts from the corporation to you, the user. The primary goal, it goes from engagement for profit to genuine connection,
Control, that moves from opaque, secret algorithms to your own sovereignty. And privacy, it flips from something that's harvested to something that's the default. It really boils down to a fundamental choice, a system built to serve advertisers or a system built to serve people.
And look, this isn't just about some cool new technology. The sources for this suggest that moving towards these kinds of models is a social imperative. It's a necessary, crucial step we need to take to ensure a future where the next generation is healthy, empowered, and actually truly connected. So all of this leaves us with a really big question to think about. The future of our digital world isn't set in stone. It's being built right now by the platforms we choose to support and the standards we demand from them. So the final question isn't for me, it's for you. What kind of digital world will you choose to build?